Hello guys, welcome to Anushka's Creation. Today we will be studying history of class 6. So, let's get started. Today's chapter is River Valley Civilization. This is the first chapter. Let's get started. So, a number of villages came up since man now settled down in one place. So, they mean that a number of villages or a group of people came together in one place and settled down along the banks of river. So that means that a number of people came together and settled down at one place and besides the river valley. Why beside? Because they couldn't be right in contact with the river because floods could occur, so they were beside the river valleys. And why beside the river valleys? Because they could get advantage of food, water, and fodder for their domesticated animals. So fodder is basically a kind of food that is given to domesticate animals. So let's go to the next line. They were engaged in many occupations like farming, weaving, pottery making, and carpentry, shoemaking, etc. So they had some occupations, they had some professions. They used to do their work, and in that they used to trade and do a lot of things. So over here, that means that people used to farm, like in villages. People used to weave, like those days there were no weaving machines, so they had to weave by their self. Big sweaters and all, and clothes though in those days were made by weaving with hand. Okay, woven materials were used. And then people used to make pots, that was also called pottery making, and people used to do carpentry and shoemaking. So now let's go to the next line. So the farmers and the craftsmen produces sufficient goods. So the farmers and the craftsmen produced the most goods and were the most needed. So farmers and craftsmen were the most one in need in that is in Indus Valley civilization. So then okay, craftsmen. Goods. So, and they exchanged them for other goods which they needed. So, they exchange means farmers and craftsmen exchanged their goods which they need, uh, like you like in though these days I am explaining like these days thing I'm explaining, that if you give money, then only you will get crops. If you give money, then only you will get furniture made by the carpenters. Okay. And in those days, which was that like trading, like if the farmer gives the carpenter his crops, then the carpenter will give his worked on furnitures and all and other stuff to the farmer. So this is how trading works, that you give me something, I give you something. It was. And then in those days, those money type of things were not there. So next is there. Our next line is, this improved man's way of thinking and his lifestyle. He thought about better homes and better clothes. So you people started thinking that like they were trading, so they were having a concept, they were having some civilized things, and they were having some good good ideas about everything. They were growing in idea, they were growing intelligent, and they were learning a lot of things. That is the most thing. Now in there, like this, they were also telling that then humans also thought of better homes and better clothes. Then so then like man also learned to read and write. So that means that humans started to read and started to write. Okay, then what happened? So in fact writing was the most significant human discovery. That means that writing was the most beautiful human discovery because it used languages and we could write on paper. So now let's go to the further thing. Further, different societies had developed different ideas about life and death. That means, if you think about it, like if I tell the Egyptian civilization, if I compare the Egyptian civilization with the Chinese civilization, the Egyptians thought that there was afterlife, and so they buried their dead bodies with some food and all. And the Chinese civilization, they didn't have the concept of afterlife. They used to bury their food as it was. Okay, then the meaning of civilization of state of human society that is highly developed and organized. In its simplest definition, civilization means a society which has its own developed culture and its way of life. Thus, civilization is the wide term which includes many things: the comforts of city life, the government of trade and commerce, the art of writing, and good system of government. So, so it means that civilization is a lot. Human society had very much things. They had developed organized things, and in its simplest definition, that means in the simplest form, it says that civilization means a society which has its own developed culture and its own way of life. That means these rules that they used to follow were not written like you have to follow these rules only, this is the rule if you want to live. Okay, so it was not written and they used to follow it still. Like they had their own rules. Like China had its own rule, then Mesopotamia had its own rule, Egypt had its own rule, Indus Valley had its own rule. Okay, so the civilization term includes that. So the civilization term says that there are many things and there are four types of civilizations. What are they? Now we will come to know. But first, let us know more about civilization. So, civilization began with the agriculture. For doing agriculture, man had to settle down at one place. Thus, development of agriculture and the use of tools gave a boost to the growth of different civilizations. So I don't need to explain this part. You can already understand that civilization began with agriculture, and to begin agriculture, man or humans had to settle down at one place and live there for many days. And then development and then more advanced agriculture came. Then and then there were like the boost to the use of tools. Like earlier there were weaker tools, and now in the modern days they have become stronger, faster, and also electronic tools, so that the farmers don't have to do any more work, that hard work for rearing one little field, like 1 kilometer field by your hand that takes a day. Now it can be done in like 1 hour or something. So now let's see the earliest main civilizations. It is the Indus Valley civilization, which is formed by river Indus. There is the Mesopotamia civilization, which is formed by river Euphrates and Tigris. Then there is Egyptian civilization, which is formed by river Nile. That's why it is also called the gift of Nile, of course. And then the Chinese civilization, which is river Huangho. Let's start with the next thing. World's greatest ancient civilization grew in river valleys of rivers. They are therefore known as river valley civilizations. The Indus Valley civilization flourished in Indus Valley, the Egyptian civilization in the Nile Valley, and the Mesopotamia civilization in the Tigris and Euphrates Valley, and the Chinese civilization in the Huanghe Valley. The river valley provided following advantages. So, it means that in the river valley civilization, the four earliest civilizations had begun with the Indus Valley civilization beginning with the Indus River, as it was told over here. The Mesopotamia civilization began with the Tigris and Euphrates River in the Nile Valley, and the Egyptian one in the Nile Valley, and the Mesopotamia one in the Tigris Euphrates Valley, and the Chinese one in the Huanghe Valley. Okay. So now let's read the uses of river valleys. So rivers provided constant supply of water for men as well as for agriculture. Rivers also provided men with fish and many kinds of water birds, which served their food. River Valley had good pastures for animals to graze on. Rivers were used as means of communication and transport, since there were useful for carrying humans and goods from one place to another. As a consequence, trade increased, resulting the growth of towns and cities. Now, now let us read about Indus Valley civilization. So, the Indus Valley civilization came to light only during the third decade of the 20th century, 1921 to 1922, when excavations were made by Indian archaeologists in northwestern region of India. So, when excavations were made in 1921 to 1922, the Indus Valley civilizations was excavated or was found. So, let's see more about it. Where did it go? The excavations led to the discovery of the prehistoric cities of Harappa in West Punjab and Mohenjo-daro in Sindhi. So it means that the excavations made it found excavations led to the discovery. That means the excavations were excavated, and the most earliest cities were the Harappa in West Punjab and Mohenjo-daro in Sindhi. So in 1922, Dayaram Sindhi discovered the ruins of Harappa on the banks of river Ravi in Montgomery district of West Punjab. So it says that Dayaram Sahini discovered the ruins of Harappa on the banks of river Ravi. That means this person, Dayaram Sahini, found the ruins of Harappa in the beside the river Ravi in Montgomery district of West Punjab. Now let's come to the next excavator. So it is Rakhaldas Banerjee who discovered Indus in the Larkhan district of Sindhi. Both these sites are now in Punjab. So it says that in Indus Valley civilization, the Larkhan district of Sindhi, both these sites are now in Pakistan. Okay, so this was part 1. Make sure to follow for part 2. Bye.